Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector, and this will probably be my last video of the year. I was watching a video the other day by JP Wisco, who is a great collector, and he was talking about this topic of underrated cards or undervalued cards, whichever word you want to use. I would probably use the word underrated. And what I mean is maybe even underappreciated, like cards that I feel in the vintage world are a good deal. And what's cool about that topic is that all of us are going to have different opinions on what we think is undervalued, underrated, underappreciated. And so his challenge was, hey, do your own video about what you think. And I think that's great. So if you guys are out there and you're like, I just think this card is underrated, and it's not from a, well, it is from a hobby appreciation standpoint. Like, wow, this card isn't valued what I would expect it to be given the player, given the set, given all the different things. And so there's just a few cards that I think, and I'm going to compare a few, and then I'm just going to talk about a few that I just think, you know, hey, they're relatively cheap. In no way is this like, hey, you should go buy these cards or advice in any way. It's my opinion on cards that, by the way, I own all of them. So it's not like I'm out there saying that to pump them up. I don't own them in the grades I'm going to talk about, which is ironic on most of them. So anywho, let me get right to it and show you guys some cards that I just think are kind of under the radar and great stuff. Hang on one second. Okay, first off, I've got 4 kind of early 60s rookie cards that I just think, wow, I can't believe these are what they are in terms of cost. The first one is the 62 Topps Lou Brock. Great career that Lou Brock had. This is such a hard card because it is usually snowy and off-center, and so there's, because the registration is always suspect. So definitely a hard card to get in better conditions, kind of that collector grade to mid grade. Mine happens to be a 5. And when I looked up the prices of all these, I kind of looked at a collector grade. So if it's a 60s card, 6s, 50s card, 5s, etc., just to give you an idea. But like this card in a 6 is about $350, which again, thinking about other rookie cards, key rookie cards in the 60s, that seems like a pretty good deal. Obviously, if you go lower grade, it's going to be even cheaper. And so to me, I think the Lou Brock rookie is undervalued, underappreciated, whatever word. The next one is the Juan Marichal. And this card is notoriously off-center. Mine happens to be very nicely centered. It's a dark image, so you see a lot of any imperfections on the surface really stand out. And so this is, again, one of those toughies to get in really nice shape. This card in a PSA 6 is under 200 bucks that you can get a Juan Marichal. He's still alive, and so that's another factor that I think makes it underappreciated, undervalued. And so definitely a card that is awesome. Put him over there. Now we got a couple of 1960s rookies. The first one's Willie McCovey, and McCuffey's always been kind of overshadowed because he played with Mays for a lot of his years. And so he just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, I think, in terms of Giants' great players of all time. And it's a really cool card. I love the design. It's just got a lot going for it. And he was, you know, not only an all-star rookie, he was an all-star in 1960. This card in a 6 is about 300 bucks. So again, that kind of same, I kind of looked for cards all in that same range, $200 to $400, that I thought, man, if you don't own this and it's something you've wanted to own, I still think this just kind of is underappreciated. So there's the McCovey. We'll put him back here. And the last kind of just card I think is underappreciated is the Yaz rookie. This is a fantastic vintage rookie card. I do happen to have a 6 in this. One of the first vintage cards I ever bought, in fact, the first vintage card I ever bought was this card. ended up grading it. It got a 3. But this card in a 6 is around $400. So again, you're looking at, like, he's probably the second greatest Red Sox of all time, probably, if you don't include Ruth, who, you know, maybe Tris Speaker, but, you know, Ted Williams first, and then Yaz certainly is in the top 2 or 3 of greatest Red Sox players of all time for a great franchise with tons of history. And so this card is definitely one of those that I think is shockingly undervalued. Now I'm going to do some comparisons, because it's interesting to see when you have cards that just, it doesn't make any sense of why there's such a disparity. And the first one is the Johnny Bench rookie in 68 compared to the Nolan Ryan rookie of 68. And you've got, you know, arguably 2 greats of all time. I mean, a lot of people consider Bench to be the greatest catcher of all time. He's certainly up there, in my opinion. And then you got Nolan Ryan, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and just a great hobby icon. And so I think that, you know, lends to some of the disparity in price. But this card in a 6, the Bench, is about $330. You can get a PSA 6. The Ryan in a 6 is $1,350, give or take. So you're talking about a 4x difference between this card and this card in the same grade. And when you've got 2 great players that I would say, in terms of greatness in the baseball world, are pretty similar. Bench certainly had a huge impact, won Big Red Machine, all that stuff. And so I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense why the Ryan is 4 times the value. That might mean that either it means the Ryan's overvalued or the Bench is undervalued, and probably both are true to some degree. So anyway, I thought that would be an interesting comparison, and the Bench being one of those cards that I think is something we should all have. Then the next comparison is Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax, both rookie cards. You've got the 59 Gibson, the 55 Koufax. You've got 2 great pitchers. Koufax arguably had, you know, the greatest 5-year stretch of any pitcher ever. Bob Gibson was great for a longer period of time. They both won World Series. You know, they were both World Series MVPs, you know, all kinds of stuff, Cy Youngs, etc. So both have amazingly great careers. And what you see is the Gibson in a 5 is about $660. So it's not a cheap card by any means, but the Koufax is $1,600. So it's about 2.5 times the value for the Koufax as the Gibson. And so to me, some of it could be Dodgers. You know, there could be a Dodger factor there, similar to maybe a Yankees factor. Dodgers are very highly collected and people love it. Koufax is just one of those kind of iconic greats for sure, but so is Gibson. And so to me, that's kind of an interesting thing. I would say the Gibson, relatively speaking, is a little bit undervalued and underappreciated. And I mean, again, $660 for a 5, but if you go look, like I have a 3, so it only gets cheaper if you decide to buy these cards in lower grades. Let's throw those down there. And the last one, probably not a surprise, but to me, this might be the most underrated, undervalued, underappreciated card in the entire hobby. And that's the 51 Bowman Mantle. This is his rookie card. And so many people are so in love with the 52 Topps, which I get. It's a great card. I don't even have it. But I'd love to own one someday, just like JP said on his video. But I mean, to me, this card is a beautiful card. You know, it's not a 52 Topps. I think it's a better looking card than the 52 Topps, although they're both pretty similar, honestly. But there is no reason at all that a 5 in this card sells for about $28,000. Or the last one sold for $28,000, and the last 5 in a 52 Topps was $134,000. So you've got about a 5x difference between the 52 Topps and the 51 Bowman. 52 Topps being 5 times more expensive, and that just, you know, doesn't make any sense. in his video, JP talked about the 52 Topps versus the 52 Bowman, and there's a huge disparity there between two cards, both from the same year, both of the same player, and you have a, I can't remember, it was 14 times or some crazy number. But to me, this card is just way underrated, undervalued. And again, any grade, I think, is great to get a Mickey Mantle rookie. I think that's, to me, this is the card to own of Mickey Mantle. And if you're going to own any, high-end Mickey Mantle stuff. But hey, what do I know? Just an opinion. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you feel like it, do your own videos of cards you think that are underrated, undervalued, underappreciated. We'll catch you guys soon. Happy New Year. Keep collecting.